Hello, and welcome to Fireballs and Heresy. We are a Dungeons & Dragons 5e actual play podcast based in the UK and United States of America. I am your Dungeon Master, Luca, and in today's episode we will be introducing our first adventurer, Orric Silverdale. This is Tidebreaker.
We will begin in the town of Scary. The sun glistens lazily off lapping waves as they playfully caress the curved bay of Scary. Fishing boats lazily bob to and fro as the fisherman doze between catches. This is quite a nice midsummer's day. The sun is high, it's quite a beautiful day. There are 3 small boats sitting bobbing in the bay. A young man sits watching the boats. He is dressed in a dark cloak. He is whittling away at a piece of wood. As he is looking around, he rather enjoys what he sees, but he sees another figure down on the bay near the docks. This figure is wearing rather tattered clothes. Joe, what does our young fellow see?
Currently, Orric is standing on the beach, looking out to sea. One of the first times he's had the chance to really look out to sea. You'd see a rather tall young man, shaved sides of the head with a auburn braid down the centre that runs down and curls in the hood of the cloak on his back. The cloak is probably the next thing you notice, a much more vibrant red than his hair. It is by far the least tattered thing that you would currently see on his person. Otherwise, he's wearing pretty much standard farmer's attire, a linen shirt with a leather jerkin over the top, some rather ragged-looking trousers, and some rope sandals that are probably far too open for the weather in this part of the world. His skin is somewhat golden, whether that is from natural skin tone or from life outside is not immediately apparent. But even from this distance, you can see that his eyes are particularly striking, with his right eye, a deep violet, while the other is a pale white with almost no pupil.
Ooh, right. So, as our observer sees Orric, he just, right, yeah, cool, somebody else down by the beach. And he continues whittling and he looks up and he sees something that he doesn't like. He stands to attention, dropping the bit of wood he was whittling, and he says, Hey you, down there! Do you see that too? And he shouts over to Orric as he points out into the sea.
Orric would sort of dart his head round, look up at this person. Can I have a look out to see what's going on?
You can. It's a relatively small bay, and there are 3 small ships. Well, they're not ships, they are literally fishermen on little rowboats. They are on longboats, and they are fishing with fishing rods, not nets. So they are very small, so this would be very easy to spot what would be concerning. Out in the bay, you see a large warship carrying red sails heading straight for the bay. The ship is made of wood, or appears to be made of wood, and on its forecastle, upon its breast, it holds a skeletal figure that appears to be in the midst of a scream, with 2 wooden saws jabbed through its chest cavity. Would you make a perception check for me, please?
I would happily do so. I've got to remember that I'm not playing Pathfinder anymore. Where's my perception? There we go. Oh dear. That's
dear.
and that hasn't had the 3 added for some reason. But hey ho, that is a 6.
Roll a d4 for me, please.
I can do that. 1. Rolling well tonight.
Okay. This ship would appear to be 4 hours away. It's about a mile out, and the breeze is coming into the bay as the sea's lapping. But by your guess, in the very, very large amount of time you've been observing this ship, you would guess that it is about 4 hours away before it lands.
I'm assuming that I can gather that it looks threatening.
Oh, yes. You can see that its colours are open, the cannons are drawn. You can see figures waving swords on the deck. This looks like a raid.
Do I recognise what faction this might belong to?
Not because you're not local, you wouldn't have much of an idea. With these, I mean, you gathered that they are raiders or pirates, and raiders tend to get what they can. If they are lacking in crew, they will hire anybody. If somebody can kill, it doesn't matter what colour their skin is, they are useful. These pirates believe in equality. They do not care from where the blood runs as long as it does. As you have been guessing this, the young man from atop the cliff has made his way down to yourself, and he says, "You see it, right? I'm not being out in the sun too much."
Yes. Look, I think we've got, I don't know, 4 hours. I guess. Look,
he kind of like almost has a visible slap to his face when you say that, and he goes, "Really? Okay."
I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but I mean, yeah, that looks about right to me.
All right. Well, from here you can see that they've only got the 2 main masts up, but from up there I could see they had the fores, the afts, and both flanks. I reckon it's going to be between 2 hours and 2.5 hours. We need to alert the Captain Brutus. Follow me. I know where he is. And he kind of, without checking to see if you would follow him, he makes his way very quickly to the Bastion Gates, which is about 35-40 feet up the steep beach bank.
Okay, Orric's gonna stand there, look east and west, gonna contemplate just bolting. Gotta stand up for someone sometime. And is gonna run after the young lad.
Okay. As you get to him, you notice, strangely enough, that there are no guards at the portcullis. There's no one manning the gates. The walls are not siege walls. They are just palisades. You do not stand on them. There are occasional watchtowers where the angles of the walls change, but from here, it appears that there is no guards on duty.
Is the gate open at least?
The gate is open, and the young lad is running. He's running straight through, and he's not waiting for you. He's running into the tavern, which is just on the left as you go in, as if you're going in. It's on the right on the map.
Right. I will charge in straight after and look to see what this young lad is doing, because he clearly knows what the procedure is around here.
Okay. As you see him running, how long would you have said that Orric has been in the northern continent? I believe you said it was a few months, didn't you?
Yeah, he's been travelling around for the last couple of years, but he's only made it sort of this far north over the last few months.
You see beneath his black cloak, because it billows as he runs, that he's wearing a very specific shade of green clothes, and you notice a sewn emblem into his chest, like where his chest pocket would be. You recognise this symbol as the Cult of Loki. Roll a history check, please.
Oh, look, I've rolled it again.
Oh.
5.
You believe that the Cult of Loki are nothing but common thieves. They just steal, play pranks. They're just having a good time, and they are common thieves.
Honestly, I can get behind that.
Fun fact.
I'm going to follow on close behind.
Fun fact, thieves are the only people who want you to do well in life.
Quite.
Think about it. Your lawyer hopes you're a criminal, your doctor hopes you get ill, your dentist hopes you have bad teeth, the thief hopes you do well so they can steal from you. Right, so Gideon will barge into the tavern. I assume you follow him.
I will follow in, although by the time I enter the tavern, I've probably got my hood up.
Yep, no worries. As you enter, there's a few patrons in, there's an Arakocra behind the bar. There's a few people just sitting into their little places. There isn't much merrymaking going on. But you see the young lad, he is stood over the table, overlooking a very well-armoured, very richly decorated warrior who's wearing full plate armour, silver by the look of it as it glistens, it's finely polished, and he has a deep red cape. He bears no helmet, although there is a fine silver helmet propped onto the table, symbolising of the Greek nature with a beautiful purple plume coming out of the top. He's just eating some cheese and bread, and he doesn't seem bothered that this young lad is shouting, "There is a raid coming, you damn fool! Summon the guards, do something!" And this captain just sits there playing with his bread. And he says, "Now, Gideon, I know your tricks. You would like me to dispatch all of my guards so you can rob the armory, rob the bank, rob the church, steal whatever you like." And this lad goes, "No, there is, honestly," and this is the point you walk in, and he will turn and go, "See, he's seen it as well. They have seen the red sails."
Orric is going to walk up behind the young lad and put his hand on his shoulder and go, "It's all right, lad. I'll take it from here." So he's right. There are there's a large warship coming our way.
Red sails.
I've not been around here much. But, sorry, what did you say, sir?
Did he say red sails?
Red sails, sir. Yes.
That sounds like the master of screams. He's a fool. He's a coward. He won't attack you during the day. He will only
he's
come
currently
at night.
coming in full sail, as far as I can tell, about a mile out.
Right, so you say. And are you a cartographer by any chance, sir?
Well, I can't say I've had the privilege of learning that trade. No.
Right, well,
Look,
I tell you
sir,
what,
is there a problem if you just stand up and walk out the gates and just look out to shore?
I will finish my meal and then I will have a look.
Can I look down and see how much of his meal he has left?
He has a couple of loaves of bread and a small block of cheese left. It's not much of a meal. It's more like a midday snack. 11's, but he appears to be in no rush to eat it.
Right. Well, I'm glad to see that you've got your people's welfare as your highest priority, sir. Come on,
listen here, son.
Anywhere here.
He won't attack. He knows this land does the master of screams. He knows that on the flanks of this beautiful little bay that we call home, that we have an oil trap. He will not attempt to reach the bay during the daylight hours because he knows that we will burn him.
Right. I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, sir. Should you really be disclosing what are presumably military secrets to an outsider?
Everybody knows. After all, we only have 20 guards. It's not much against an attack. But the militia, every man, woman here, well, some of the women are harder than most of the men, if you ask me. They all pack a punch, and there's about 150 of us. They all know the trick. They all know where it is.
And May I ask, sir, do you intend, should things go awry, to defend this village against an invading force? How would you call upon the militia? There must be some sort of signal.
Yes, we light the barrels, of course. But if there was a raid and the barrels weren't lit, we just close the portcullis. They won't get in here.
Right, over the 15-foot high unmanned walls. Yeah, sorry to say, sir, but I spent yesterday jumping over those.
Yes, I know. I believe it was me who saw you and shouted at you.
Yes, sir. Look, I'm gonna head off, keep an eye on these miscreants that are threatening your town. You finish your meal, sir. Take your time.
he kind of gives you a very sarcastic smile and bows his head in thanks, and then returns to his meal.
As I turn my back, and just as I walk away, I whisper into his head, "Their deaths will be all your fault, sir. All yours. No one to blame but yourself." I do not give him the ability to respond.
Roll an insight check.
Those I'm reasonable at, and I keep on pressing the button in there. Why do I do that? And yet I still roll a 5. That's a 10 total.
Well,
God,
let me
I'm
just
rolling
roll. Oh, you are sure he received it, but you are not confident. He shows absolutely no signs of hearing that message.
Okay.
He just carries on mulling and playing with his bread. As you do that, you can see Gideon, the young lad who ran in, talking to the barman, and he walks out of the tavern shaking his head.
I'm gonna walk after him and have a chat with him outside.
Okay. As you go outside, he just spreads his arms and goes, "You see, the guards, he was right, they're not here. It's absolutely buffoon."
Can't agree more. Look, how have you found the militia around here? They sounded like they were far more competent than the guards themselves.
Oh, well, I mean, the guards are good. The only problem is that the good captain in there having his lovely lunch, he sent them all on patrol to deal with the highwayman issue. All 20 of them, the night and the day staff. They're all gone. And apparently they won't be back till nightfall.
Bollocks. Okay,
But
well...
the militia are, I mean, he wasn't wrong. Some of the women are certainly stronger than the men.
All right, well...
And then just to kind of prove a point, a couple walk past you. The man is really weedy, old and frail, and is walking and hobbling on walking sticks. And the older woman behind him is just carrying 2 very large baskets of stone. One in each arm, just to implement how strong she is.
I nod in her direction and do not insult her by asking if she wants me to carry them.
She nods back and grunts in a very masculine way.
Afternoon, Mum. What's the defensive situation like on the shore then?
I mean, the barrels are, they are an oil. You push them into the water. There's about 20 barrels on each side of the bay. You push them all in. They're not they're not fully sealed. So when they tip, they leak, and the oil will leak into the water and make the water flammable.
Right. Okay.
I've only seen it happen once, and it is scarily magnificent.
Right. Anything we need to do to prepare the townsfolk? Do we need to set up any defences close to the shore? I mean,
I
can't help but notice that you've managed to avoid creating any choke points.
Yes, well, I did make the map in a bit of a hurry.
Apparently, so did the architect.
Well, the beach itself is flat for about 30 feet, and then where the paths fork, that is quite a steep incline, maybe 20 feet up.
Okay.
So that would cause, normally in this situation, you would have your guards or your militia forming a shield wall between the rock faces, completely battening off at the top of the hill. So the attackers would have to come uphill and be at a very severe disadvantage. But obviously with no guards and, well, the militia, they could be called, but they will only be called either by voice of the captain himself or when the ocean is on fire.
Right. Can I see where the ship currently is? How long I've got?
Yeah, make a perception check for me, please.
See if I can do slightly better this time. It wouldn't be hard. It's hard to do much worse. Where is it? There we go. Oh, that's a little bit better. That's a 22.
Ooh, as you look out, you can see two of the fishing boats are making their way back very quickly. But one of them was unable, and it has been caught in the clutches of this red-sailed ship. As you just hear, as the broadside opens up, massively overkill for such a small vessel with one person in it. The small fishing ship sinks.
Do I see any surviving crew attempting to swim?
There was just one person on this ship. So the boat itself it's about 15 feet long and maybe 6 feet wide.
Right.
It is a very small, it can hold a maximum of 6 people. It is a very small fishing boat, and this warship has just open fired 15 guns on it, firing cannonballs as big as your head.
Yeah.
There is not a right lot left.
There's a faint misting on the sea.
Yes, there is a thin red mist.
Right. Yeah, I think my
22.
estimation might have been a little off.
You estimate the ship would be close enough to anchor and release its longboats, or even get to the docks in the next 20 minutes.
Sorry, young man. What was your name again?
Oh, my name's Gideon, sir. Glad to make your acquaintance. What is your name, sir?
Name's Orric. Son.
He holds out your hand. It holds out his hand. Sorry, not yours. His.
When did you take that?
To and offer a shake.
As Orric sticks his hand out, from under his sleeve is revealed a bracer made out of glistening scale, which he shakes the hand of the young man. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Gideon. I'm sorry we don't have a chance to get to know each other better, but may I suggest that the oil barrels are our next priority?
Make a perception check with advantage, because you know he is from the cult of Loki.
19.
He got a natural 20. But you do not notice anything, but as you mention the barrels, he goes, yes, I will take the left, you take the right. And Orric, try to be a bit more insightful next time, my friend, and he will hand you back your coin purse.
I catch it in midair, and then I take one coin out, and not in the attempt to do any serious, but if I could do like a point of damage.
Go on then, roll to attack.
Cool. I'm assuming this does not count as an unarmed strike.
No, this will just be a 1d4.
1d20, I would assume, plus probably not proficiency, just dex, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, just plus dex.
Cool. No, 7.
The coin just whizzes straight past his head, and he kind of just blinks at you a little bit and picks the coin up and goes, thanks, Governor. Appreciated.
I'm going to grin and then rush off the other way faster than he does.
They're going to sprint. So the oil is up here just below this tree. I will place you there. The two fishing boats are now in the dock, and the fishermen are pulling the boats onto the beach.
I'm going to shout down to them, go alert the militia. We'll get the barrels sorted.
Way ahead of you, sir. We'll be going straight to the captain, don't you worry.
I apologise for your ships.
Oh, they've pulled them onto the beach.
Oh.
So they've kind of like dry anchored them. As you look to the west, you can see Gideon. As you run up through the trees, you can see these barrels. They are not hidden at all. They are very obviously there. They almost give the impression as to say, if you come here, we will fuck you up. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough, kind of thing. It is a massive show of strength of these barrels. So they're very easy to find. You can see Gideon over the way. He has got to his own barrels. The ship is now 75 feet away from the docks. If you only have a few minutes to push the oil in to prevent the ship from getting closer.
Right. I'm going to look over at Gideon, see if he lights the barrel before he pushes it, or whether he waits until it's in the water.
Yep. He gets his first go. You just see him pushing the barrels. It seems to not a lot happens at first, but he just puts that bit extra strength in it, and he pushes the barrels off, and 10 barrels just over themselves into the water, and the wood shatters, and oil just spreads quickly over the water.
Right. I'm going to throw my shoulder against the first barrel, checking that it's actually open first.
You could see from Gideon that he didn't open any barrels. When the barrels hit the water, they just shattered.
They just shattered. All right.
Yeah, they've been designed to shatter. So if you're going to try...
Then I will throw my full weight against the first of the barrels.
Make a strength check, please.
Oh, this is not going to go well. It's not too bad, 16.
It's enough. With a 16, you throw your shoulder against one barrel, topples, goes down, shatters into the water. You're encouraged by this, and you just push them again, and eventually all 10 barrels from your side are now in the waters, splintered and spreading across. As you wait for the oil to spread, do you have a bow?
I don't have a bow. I'm hoping that I can light a torch and lob it.
Well, that's fine. Gideon, unless you want to light the torch and you want to do this.
I mean, I've got a tinderbox and some torches. I think I wouldn't wait for Gideon's say-so. I'd just be a little worried and just start scrambling for him and start lighting them and try and throw a torch into a lit torch into the pool.
You are very much in cannon range. This ship could all flank, go to the starboard, and there would just be 15 32-pound cannons aimed at the town.
I do not feel that Orric knows this.
It's
as far as he knows, cannons have a 15-foot range, because that's how far away they were used last.
Oh yeah, they were just point-blank range. Even if the balls didn't hit the boat, the force from the cannon firing would splinter the side.
Yeah.
But yeah, you throw a torch in. I'm not going to make you roll to hit it, because you're throwing a torch into the water. It's not hard.
Yeah.
And you're not aiming for a little boat. The whole water is oil. The torch just instantly catches flame. Balls of fire erupt, and it spreads in the blink of an eye across the whole bay. Now, oddly enough, you notice that the fire and the oil has a full semicircle around the dock. So the docks themselves are protected, but the oil has spread outwards, and the flames just roar. The ship very easily catches fire. You can hear the screams of the people aboard, and not long after that, the ship explodes as the fire reaches the powder magazine.
Orric frowns slightly at the ship and starts walking back towards the town.
As you are doing that, roll a perception perception check for me, please. Well, what is your passive?
13.
Yeah, you know what? He's not being quiet about it. As you are walking, you keep looking back to the ship to make sure that there's no one swimming towards shore. Even if they were, they would be on fire because the ship was quite a good bit behind where this semicircle is. As you look and pay more attention, you can see a very faint barrier of wood just skimming the top of the water. This is what's prevented the oil seeping into the docking area. And it would make sense that this is why the fishermen had such small ships, so they could just vault them over this little barrier.
Well, they've said it's clearly thought about this somewhat.
Yes, this is what I do in my spare time. But as you're looking at this, you see this figure clad in purple making their way over this barrier, keeping themselves wet, and they will clamber onto the dock, and you will see them begin to make their way to the main docking building on the left-hand side of the bay.
Right. I think at this point, Orric is going to... How steep is the cliffside?
The cliffside to the water or to the beach?
In the direction of this person.
So the cliffside from the dock from here to about here has been...
Thinking more about this sort of area.
Okay. That area is almost vertical.
Not a good idea then.
Well-
I take the long way round.
And also the fire starts about here
Yeah, well...
and kind of goes across like that.
Cool. In which case, Orric starts sprinting south around the lip of the cliff, waving to Gideon.
Yep. As you come round the tree and you now see the slope down onto the bay, you can see the left building is on fire, and you see this purple-clad figure. Now you're closer, you can see they are dark-skinned. Their skin is a deep purple. They have pointed ears, and they carry themselves with an elegance that you are not very familiar with. But you will recognise it from the stories that you were told as a child that this is a drow elf. You will see Gideon charging blade in hand to the sea elf.
Oh, that idiot. Can I look briefly towards the town to see if there's any sound of response coming from the town yet?
There appears to be none.
Right. Orric stands there for about half a second, trying to decide whether he saves the apparently idiotic boy or tries to get the townfolk, and runs down the
Roll a perception
slope.
check.
Perception. Oh, back to my old ways. It's 7.
You can hear a lot of noise, but you cannot tell if this is the mobilisation of the militia or the general hustle and bustle of town life. It is certainly a lot more loud than it was when you first went into town.
Right. I'm just going to have to trust that there's people on their way, and at the moment there's only one person here that seems to be a threat, and I can take one person. Yeah, I can take. I sprint down the beach towards Gideon.
And roll initiative, please. And let's roll Gideon. Oh, Gideon. You let the team down. Okay, Orric, you are top of the round.
Right. You've got to try and remember what this character can do. Fortunately, at the moment, it's reasonably simple. As he starts running, his cloak starts billowing almost unnaturally. It shouldn't billow so much for such a, normal running speed. But it just out behind him as he sprints down the beach towards this drow. He's going to do movement and dash. And that's as far as I can get. I am still, I think, more than 30 feet away. But
You are...
that's my first turn. I was like, Gideon, you idiot! Just stand back.
You are actually 30 feet away. Roll persuasion check.
Doesn't matter what I roll, it's still going to be terrible.
-1.
-1. 16.
16, I will say Gideon hears you and he thinks better, but he will have to wait until his turn. The Master of Screams will use his first attack against Gideon for a 13. He does not hit. As he goes to swing his sword, that is when you say, "Gideon, you fool!" And Gideon kind of looks and steps back, and he just catches the Master of Screams. He just misses. But then he will turn his attention to yourself and pull his short bow. 15 to hit.
That does not hit.
And as he fires this bow in anger, it just goes wide over your head.
I think it's the first time that Orric's ever been shot at, and as the arrow comes flying towards him, he stumbles and sort of rolls down the hill a little bit, and then gets back on his feet and starts running again.
Go on, then I'll give you an extra 5.
So the arrow goes over his head.
Gideon is going to have a glaive in his hands, I should say. Jesus Christ.
Where is he hiding that?
I didn't think this through, and I didn't create Gideon a character sheet. Did I? Because I thought I had, but I obviously haven't. I didn't realise until we started playing, because I was under the impression that I had. Yeah, no, I've got no Gideon. So I'm using somebody else's. But I will just add... Yeah, no, he has a glaive. He has a glaive. But he misses. So he's going to kind of bring this thing down. He's going to skim the collar as he aims for the throat, as with a lunge, and he misses. He's then going to move towards you, 30 feet, which takes him here. But he is going to incur an attack of opportunity. Mm-hmm. +7. Oh. Yeah, that hits with his rapier. For 8 damage. Plunges his rapier deep into Gideon's flesh. And Gideon does not look good as it cuts into his back. He kind of fumbles and stumbles and eventually makes his way to you. Orric, what are you going to do?
Damn it, Gideon. Look, I'm going to turn to Gideon, standing still, sort of putting myself between him and the drow. Does the wound look bad enough that I should bandage it quickly?
Yes.
I tear off a strip of my trousers.
If you were going to give Gideon a scale of 1 to 13 on health, he's at 5.
I see. I'm going to tear a strip off of my trousers and wrap it around the wound. And then I'm going to grab him by the shoulders and say, "Look, I'll handle him. You get back into town. I'm sorry to do this to you while you're injured. Get back into town. Make sure people are coming. I don't know whether I can take this one."
Roll a persuasion check, please.
Fuck.
You get the idea that he kind of smiles at you, just with that, you feel like you had him going where you wanted him to go until you said, I'm not sure I can handle this one. And he kind of gives you a smile, pats you on the back, and kind of gets his glaive ready, and stands by your side.
I make sure that I'm positioned in front of him.
Okay, what else would you like to do?
I'm going to take the dodge action. Basically, all attacks against me have disadvantage until the start of my next turn.
Oh, okay. I mean, you are 30 feet away from him.
Yes, and he proved that he had a short bow.
Oh, yes, of course.
And I've already wasted time attending to Gideon's wounds. I don't trust myself to get close enough to the man to be a threat, so I'm staying where I am, and I'm just going to put my fists up and get ready to get out of the way should a shot come my way.
Okay. Master of Screams will approach you 15 feet, and he will then ready his short bow.
With disadvantage.
With disadvantage, an 18 to hit.
That just hits.
That just hits. With 7 piercing damage.
Take the arrow straight to the shoulder, grip it, attempt to rip it out, decide better of it.
Yes, just break the hilt. He is then going to use the rest of his action to get up and close to you. He is then going to attempt to get you with his rapier.
Okay, still disadvantage.
Because that would have been another hit. He misses this rapier as he's distracted. Wait, he's more disappointed in himself for the fact that he only hit you in the shoulder with his short bow. And he's focused on your shoulder as he goes to slash. Sorry.
Orric's also much more familiar with being attacked with a rapier than with a short bow.
And you just pirouette out of the way.
A pirouette, and I stick my hand through one of the hand into the guard of the rapier as it comes in to sort of guide it out of the way and hold him in place for Gideon to take his turn.
Ooh, that's good. Well, Gideon is going to use his glaive with advantage because he's held in place. Thank God. Because that was a natural one. That's a dirty 20. Filthy.
Very nice.
Dirty. Ooh. Ooh. As the Master of Screams lunges with his rapier, and you just grab the hilt and the guard and hold him to the side. And Gideon very quickly brings his glaive in. It goes straight into the Master of Scream's throat. And blood just squirts everywhere as Gideon tears his throat out with this glaive. And the Master of Screams falls dead, twitching into the wet sand.
I'm unfamiliar with the fact that people die in combat. I am pulled by the hand by his arm. I go, oh Christ! Not Christ, because Christ doesn't exist in this world. I'm going to sort of wiggle my hand free of the rapier hilt and brush it off on my trousers.
For context, if it was something that you wouldn't have seen coming, it would have been by Heimdall. Because Heimdall is the god of all-seeing.
True.
How are you looking? Gideon is not looking good. He, as he pulls the blade from the torn throat and the body falls to the wet sand, his legs buckle a little bit and he staggers and he goes, oh, I think I need to see a doctor. Oh, I need to go see the alchemy.
I forgot to actually write the damage in. I was too invested. 6 damage or 4 damage? I can't remember.
I don't know. I can't remember.
You rolled a 2 on the d6.
7 damage.
Woo! Okay. Yes. I'm not good. I am very glad that I did not pull the arrow out because I am already feeling like I'm a little light-headed. Gideon, do you mind put pressure on this for me? I'm gonna grab the arrow and rip it out.
Well, hang on, my friend. I know a good cleric. He's a friend. We will go to the purple church. Sorry, not the purple one. That's the wrong one. We will go to the church with the green roof. They are friends of Loki.
Right. Give me one moment. I'm gonna roll over and I'm gonna start searching the drow's pockets.
As you do this, you hear Gideon just chuckle to himself and say, "My, we might have a place for you when we're through with this."
Oh yeah, shut up.
In the drows, you find 2 daggers, a rapier, a short bow, A silver medallion. You find 15 gold and 200 silver, but that
Hang
is
on.
all.
It's a silver medallion. It's not an item in there, but
No, it's
Send it
just,
to me later.
it's just a silver medallion that the captain identifies himself with. It's by your eye, it might be worth about 20 gold.
that'll be a few weeks' meals. Shoves it in his pocket, starts crawling back to his feet. Oh, go on then, show me to this healer. Oh,
Come, my friend. Be careful. Don't kill yourself before the enemy can.
oh yeah,
And
no, I got it.
Gideon will lead you into the portcullis. You will notice that some of the militia, if it can be called a militia, has started to gather in the streets. You will see maybe 40 people with forks, field forks, scythes, the occasional sword. You see the blacksmith wielding a very large warhammer, but there aren't that many there, considering Gideon said about 150 could be mustered.
Well,
The
it's a good thing you lot weren't needed.
when you say that, they instantly begin to lose interest, and they just kind of lower their weapons and kind of kick the ground. Some run out to have a look at the burning sea, the burning wreckages, but most just go back to their homes, go back to the tavern. As Gideon leads you to the green-roofed church, you will notice the pillars of the stairs. The stairs are a white marble. The pillars holding up the entrance aren't pillars as such. They are beautifully carved, spiraling giant snakes that are holding up this lintel over the entrance. Very Roman in architecture. As you go in, you can see a few clerics dressed in deep green robes. They hear the commotion of the oh God coming in. They run straight over, and one goes, Gideon, you fool! What have you done this time?
Saved your asses, that's what.
Who are you, oh lordy da, sir?
Name's Orric. Sorry, not exactly the most friendly chap when I've got an arrow sticking out my fucking shoulder.
Well, Orric,
Beg your pardon.
sit down here, don't worry. And you can see him very quickly rubbing herbs together. And he says, this won't hurt a bit. And he rubs it on to where the wound
I look
around
at him in
the
the
arrow.
dead in the eyes and goes, really?
And he rubs it around the entrance of the arrow wound, pulls the arrowhead out, and yes, this hurts. And he looks you dead in the face and goes, there, you see, I lied.
Yeah.
As he rubs that in, he gives you a vial, which is something I forgot to write down. I just put Hans healing potion. That's it.
Well, healing potion is a thing.
It is just a potion of healing.
Yeah.
It's not a supreme or superior or lesser. It is a flat potion of healing.
I'd be very worried if you were handing me a supreme healing potion at this point.
But you do see him give Gideon a larger, more richer in colour vial.
Well, he's the one that did all the dirty work, I have to admit.
As Orric, as Gideon necks this drink, you can see his wound just knot together, like somebody has just sewn his body back together very quickly. Now, unfortunately, well, the wound is gone, but the scar remains, and Gideon kind of looks back on himself, looks at his lower back, and says, "Ooh, something for the girls to love. Oh, I love a good scar."
Right, yeah. You do realise that most of them actually don't like him, right?
You're just not paying him enough, mate.
Right, yeah, no, that's actually your problem. Right, I'm gonna down the potion.
Which is 2d4 plus 4, I believe.
2.
Plus 2, yes. 2d4 plus 2.
Heal 6.
You heal 6.
Oh god, I just killed myself.
And there we have Ash's first character death, ladies and
There
gentlemen.
we go. Oh, that is foul. You know, I've had healing potions before. What do you put in these ones that make them so raw?
Well, you see that old clerical witch in the corner over there that's kind of just leaning over a cauldron, and as you
Right,
look,
no worship of Freya, is she?
no, she's rather magical, we'll say, and her sweat is rather potent. So we just stick her over a hot cauldron and gather her sweat.
I'm not sure I want to know if you're lying or not.
As you look over to the corner, you do see this very old woman just leaning over this burning cauldron, and yes, sweat is dripping off her face. Her hair is slicked back with sweat. It appears he is, in fact, telling the truth.
Like, what in the world gave you the idea to even try that? You know what?
It was her idea, actually.
Really? And I'm sorry, but no, that's par for course. All right.
As this is happening, you hear him before you see him. The metal clunking of his armor, the chinking of his mail. You see the monstrous form of Captain Brutus making his way towards you.
I crack my neck and
says,
walk in front of Gideon.
"Gentlemen,
Stand in between him and Gideon.
it appears I owe you an apology." And he comes over with his arm outstretched. Do you take his hand?
I'm not immediately. I
You say
first
you're in front of Gideon.
me. You owe an apology to me. I'm not the one you insulted.
Well, I mean, okay then. An apology to him and a thanks to you, my friend.
Right. I presume then there'll be medals for him then.
Oh, yes. His arm is still outstretched.
I put my hands behind my back and I bow and say, "I'm glad to be of service, sir."
Okay. He will kind of bring his hand back, take his helmet off and brush his, the small island of hair that is atop his head back, place his helmet back on, to kind of feign the handshake. He will say, yes, you will be greatly rewarded, like you have been rewarded from the gods themselves. And he'll walk around to get, he's as he's talking, he's waving his arms in the air, and you will be rewarded by the gods themselves. And as he gets in between you, he will shove you, Orric. It's an 18.
What do I resist this with? I don't think I've ever actually been shoved.
I think it's a dex save.
I can probably do that. Maybe not. Christ, Orric is not having a good day.
What did you get?
12.
Oh, hang on. So he pushes you. You move 5 feet. You are prone because he shoved you to the ground. And then he will use his attack with his great sword, but he misses.
Oh, you little... Get back here. Orric's going to sort of, much
Let
more
me just-
acrobatically than he's shown before, is going to sort of roll back onto his shoulders and throw himself onto his feet, spinning in mid-air. And as he does so, he's going to lash out, activating his Eldritch Claw tattoo, and slam extended fist into the side of the captain's head.
Sweet. Roll to hit, please.
20 to hit.
Oh, yeah, that hits.
Swings the this almost inky fist right underneath the side of his jaw. If he's wearing his helmet, the helmet pings off to the side.
It's like in the cartoons where they hit the helmet, it just spins.
Yeah, quite.
He's just looking into the back of his helmet.
You know, if that was my fist, that would probably avert bonus action, hit again.
What was that damage, sorry?
8 damage.
Yeah, 8 damage. Gotcha.
Bonus action, come in and elbow drop from 10 feet away, directly onto his shoulder. Only a 13.
That does not hit. You just ricochet off his armour. Right, so that's Orric. Is that your go, Orric?
That is my turn over.
Gideon will attempt to glaive him. No, that does not hit. Gideon missed. Gideon cannot do a lot. So, it's now Brutus's go. He is going to use his bonus action to right his helmet so he can see again. And he is going to attack Gideon. 13, no, that misses. He is then going to use his second attack on you, Orric. That does not hit either. So he has been very off-put by this spinning helmet. Orric, you're up.
Orric is going to mentally channel into this man's mind and go, thank Asgard that this traitor is an incompetent, and is going to launch through the air and attempt to knee him in the elbow and disarm him.
Oh.
I'm not actually sure how disarming works in 5th edition.
Me neither, but we'll go with it. I'll tell you what, if your attack hits, we'll say it disarms. Deals half damage and disarms.
Cool. 20 to hit.
Oh yeah, that hits, yeah.
Oh, 10 points of damage. Reduced by half to 5, but still.
God damn. Let me just give you an idea. But he's now an orange. He does not look happy at all.
As I land from my kneeing into the elbow, I'm going to try and use my bonus action to kick the greatsword as far out of the way as possible, and then stand between him and Gideon.
Mentioned him being a traitor and incompetent. He will snarl after you kick him. Hang on, no, you did disarm him.
Didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because you hit.
Yeah.
Half your damage and disarmed. So he can't use his greatsword.
Yeah, I kick the greatsword halfway across the hall.
And it flies into the chapel and just misses the old lady leaning over the cauldron. Just cuts a little bit off top of her hair.
I'm mildly distracted by this.
As you say that to him, he says, well, 4,000 gold will turn anybody's head, won't it? Now I've got to kill you. And you
4,000 gold
to hit. Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. His eyes go wide.
You said you were doing one last attack?
No, I've used my action and bonus action. It's the end of my turn.
Kill. Gideon will say, is that all it took? You absolute waste of fucking space. And use his glaive. That hits. Does 6 damage. Captain Brutus will single you out, Orric, as you're the one that's pissing him off the most. He will attempt to beat you with his glaive. No, it's not his glaive, sorry. His greaves with a 21 to hit.
That does hit. 5 bludgeoning.
He just caves his armoured fist into your face. You could tell there was a lot more anger there than he was showing in his face. He is not going to back away. That's his turn. Orric, you're up.
Orric is going to respond to having his face nearly whatchamacallit in, caved in, by cocking his head slightly and saying, "You're right, he does deserve what's coming to him." He's going to turn around and he's going to take a haymaker to the soft spot just underneath the armpit on plate armor.
Ooh.
As his first attack. If I can find my attack roll. Ooh, only a 15.
That hits.
Oh,
That just hits.
Dealing 8 points of bludgeoning damage right under the armpit.
That is enough. How would you like to kill this man? Or not kill him? Up to you.
As the haymaker hits under the armpit, it carries through, spinning the captain round, and Orric raises his leg into a kick and knocks straight into the back of the captain's head, taking him straight to the floor, where he smashes his nose onto a pew.
Oh, and is this a lethal takedown or none? This is non-lethal.
Non-lethal. Do we intend to put this man on display after taking half of his money?
Well, you search him. Well, no, as you do, just in this marketplace, just to the west of the church, there are some stocks. You put him in the stocks and you search him and you find 5 gold. His great sword is on the floor. He also has a short bow if you are interested.
I'm going to take the greatsword and strip him of his armour.
Ooh, kinky.
Absolutely. Take any armour straps that there are and use them to tie his hands behind his back in as uncomfortable a position as I can possibly find.
Oh, so you're putting him in the stocks, but you're not putting his arms in the stocks so he can support himself. You're actually making him support himself by his own
With the
crouched
neck, yes.
form. Oh, you harsh. Oh.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Meanwhile, his arms are locked in a perpetual sort of arm lock behind his back. And then, for good measure, I'm going to kick one knee out from under him.
Yeah,
he
falls. He falls. He knocks the wind out of him. Chokes as his throat goes against the wood, and it just knocks the wind out of him.
You know, as unfriendly as these people have been, I don't think anyone has ever deserved someone like you.
Yeah.
You're possibly the most pathetic, vile piece of shit that I've ever met.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you snivelling kids. He doesn't grace you with an answer. He just scowls and kind of sulks and looks away into the crowd where they are gathering as they were watching the fight, and they appear to have already brought with them off vegetables and fruit, and they are throwing it at him. Gideon comes behind you and he places the captain's deep red cloak over your shoulders. The town start to gather round you. They're cheering you. They're going, "What is your name, sir? What do we call you?"
With the idea of being remembered by anyone, Orric sort of shrinks down and goes, look, the name's Orric, all right? Just, just don't...
Well, you all saw him. He's the one who turned the tide. He broke it. He's the Tidebreaker.
Yeah, well... Oh. All right.
And the town start cheering, "Tidebreaker, Tidebreaker," over and over again.
I'm going to roll a check to see how miserable I am. 1 is thoroughly, 20 is ecstatic at this development. I'm pretty keen on this development.
So you notice a finely dressed man coming out of a tailor shop. He promises he will make you some fine clothes. He will make you a few sets of fine clothes, so you can rotate them and look your best at all times.
Thank you, sir. That's very, very kind of you. What do I owe you?
On the house, my friend. He has been neglecting this town for a few years now.
Well, why don't you send off for a better captain? I mean, surely they can provide something.
No, my friend. The great houses don't worry about us. They have their own problems with the north and everything coming up past the wall. They're not bothered. They're sending all the good men up north to fight the menace.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It has been my pleasure to assist you today.
You see the old lady come out from the temple. She's standing far more upright than you thought the old lady was possible of doing. Gives you a belt. It has a scaled nature, and it is a mixture of bronze and copper in the scale.
This is a dragon hide belt.
Well, that's I put my hand out and I reach towards the belt, just revealing my braces, and flinch backwards.
And she will also flinch, smile, and say,
"You are not ready, my young friend. But soon you will be."
She kind of turns and takes the belt back into the temple.
I take a very quick moment to myself, muttering, "What was that? That looked really useful. Come on, I can't keep. Fine. Whatever. Let's carry on." And I turn back to the crowd and go, "I have to admit, ladies and gentlemen, as much as I'm happy to have helped you, truly the one who saved your town is standing right here." And I gesture towards Gideon, assuming he's still standing there.
And as you turn to Gideon, you will find that he has in fact disappeared.
And who would have guessed that one? Right. People like making me make a fool of myself today. Please, I understand that his sect is not the most well thought of, but he and his kind have shown me more honour and respect than any of you have today. I'm very grateful for your thanks, but he is the one who
Is it
deserves.
about the cult of luck, eh? I see a woman shout out from the crowd.
Sorry, what did you say?
Is he on about the cult of luck, eh?
Yes, madam, I am. They have shown themselves to be of good character. They may have odd moral code, but they.
Oh, they're quite magnificent, actually.
I'm glad you think so. That's.
Yeah, well, they always give you the. They don't. People think they just steal from people, but they don't. They don't. What they do is they trick you, but it's always through games. Yes, they'll occasionally pickpocket, but that's when times are desperate, or they just want to have some fun with you. They will only pickpocket people who are a threat to them. So if they are caught, they can just give it back and say, "Hey, I was having a bit of fun." But they will usually play games on the side, and they will have an advantage, of course, as most street peddlers do. But I have won on the occasion, or against the cult of Loki, and then you hear, "Liar! No, you haven't." It's like, "Shut up! I did."
There's a grin forming on Orric's face, and he just smiles and turns back towards the temple and walks in.
Yep. And in there you will see the cleric. Gideon is nowhere to be seen, but the cleric will approach you. You will see the old lady. She has returned to her cauldron to sweat in, and the cleric will come
Can I
to
make
you.
an insight check as to whether or not she believes the sweat actually helps?
You can make an insight check.
21.
She seems to believe genuinely that this helps.
I am still disturbed.
The cleric will see you looking at her with a raised eyebrow and will go, "It is different, I know, but it helps keep the cost down." See, a normal potion of healing will be 50 gold. We can peddle these off for 10. But unfortunately, you did have the last one. We did sell all of them, apart from 2 this morning. So you and Gideon did have our last 2 in store, actually. She is brewing, excuse the pun, more for us.
Look, you have been, as far as I can tell, the brunt of this knave's attention for a while. Please, take his equipment, sell it on. Use it for whatever you need. You deserve.
We have a caravan that comes through here. Well, it doesn't come through here. It starts here. Young Jemiah, whenever the bridge comes available from the clouds, he will venture up there and trade with the air gensai up there. So we will take it to trade with them because they are very fond of their plate armor. The air gensai up in the hills.
I can't say I blame them.
It's
I've always found it hard to move in myself.
Well, they are quite airy, aren't they? Not very restricted.
Only slightly racist.
The good priestess of the temple has instructed me to tell you something. She has suggested that your journey would go northwest, just the northern parts of the northern continent's bridge to the middle continent, to the town of Jane. She says once you're there, you will find the path that will make you ready for the belt.
Right. That's thank you. You wouldn't happen to have any iconography, would you?
What iconography of what, dear sir?
Something to think on, pray to.
Oh, okay. And he kind of like pats down his robe where there are very obviously no pockets until he eventually gets to a side bag, and he pull out a bronze pin. It is the shape of a sword with a snake spiraling up the blade, with its head rested atop the hilt. The pommel, sorry. The head is rested atop the pommel.
I take the. May I keep this?
You can, sir. This is a symbol of Loki's heritage. Anywhere that respects Loki as a god and as life itself will give you shelter, give you aid in whatever way they can, as they are morally obliged to if you show them this pin, sir.
That's very kind of you. I use it as a pin to hold my cloak on, and it sort of just sits on my left shoulder, weirdly right over my scar.
You use it to pin your scar together. This will give you haven, give you protection, give you aid in areas and people and factions that believe and follow Loki.
Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you.
He kind of bows his head, folds his arms with his hands inside his robes and kind of bows respectfully and says, "May the laughing god forever smile in your presence."
I like that.
And he will back away back into the temple.
I finger the brooch for a little while, and then I turn and I walk out the doors, and I find a barn to sleep in.
I mean, the temple will offer you a bed. Free.
No,
Most
I find
of
a
the town
barn to
will.
sleep in.
You find a barn.
That's it for this week's episode of Tidebreaker from Fireballs and Heresy. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for playing. Keep rolling those nat 20s. And if you do like what you hear, please give us a like, give us a share to anyone who you think will enjoy it. We have a Twitter at Fireballs Heresy. We have an Instagram at Fireballs and Heresy Podcast. And that's that. We will see you next week with Punishing a Paladin, where we introduce our second character. Thank you very much again for listening.